What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and this is Legends of Tomorrow, Season 6, Episode 4, Bay of Squids. Set of pigs. Overall, decent episode, some funny moments, some ridiculous bordering on stupid with the whole football thing. But overall, it was fine, I guess. Obviously, the show has always been a little bit loose with its interpretation of time travel and exactly how they utilize it. So I shouldn't be too surprised how they handled the whole Cuban Missile Crisis and how even though Cuba launched a missile, even though it was a dud, that all worked out fine just because the US didn't respond, but nobody asked any questions. Nothing happened after that. I don't know. It's one of those things where I just sort of have to hold up my hands and go, you know what? This show doesn't take itself too seriously, so I'm not going to take it too seriously. I'm just going to enjoy the fun moments when they happen. And there are a lot of fun moments in this episode. Bayrod being confused to be Che Guevara is really funny, and the way they handle him and Fidel Castro's interactions also very funny. Even though the football thing did get ridiculous, I did like Nate in that room with all the guys and how Zari sort of inserted herself into the situation. The scenes with Mick, it is kind of funny to see him try to just take control of an operation, but of course, in doing so, he sort of stumbles headlong into something that is a little out of his control and then messes a lot of stuff up, but then also in the end helps everybody too, which is kind of the Mick Rory way, in a way. And then, of course, whenever the alien shape shifts into a human, of course, it's somebody that Mick just... It looks like his type of woman. So, yeah, there's a lot of really funny moments in all of that. Oh, God, when Ava took away Bayron's little gummies, like, nobody wants your drugs. Mom. I don't know. There's a lot of really funny interactions between everybody. So, yeah, it was a very fun episode. Didn't There are moments where it definitely starts to get a little bit more serious, when Mick was being called out by Ava and he's just like, "Oh yes, I'm just the guy that shoots stuff." Don't get me wrong, I don't mind it when Mick does think a little bit more than just, because sometimes they treat him like he's a caveman. They just have him and that's all he does all episode. So I don't mind it whenever he has a bit more dialogue and a bit more to him than just that, and he actually does think and use his brain, because he's not obviously one of the brightest people, but he's also not stupid when it comes to a lot of the tactical stuff either. So whenever he has those moments where he is a bit more tactical minded and he does think ahead and plan something that's actually pretty brilliant, I like those scenes. So this one, the reason why, and it's very similar to what I talked about last season with his daughter and all of that, I don't really like it whenever they treat Mick as a bit more normal, a bit more just like this average guy who's just like, "Oh, I have feelings too, and I don't know how to be a dad, and oh, you're just gonna treat me this way while I'm sad now." It's not the Mick Rory that I know and love. I prefer him whenever he's a little bit psycho, but it's kind of fun when he's that way. He's not evil. He's not necessarily doing bad stuff anymore, but he's not quite normal either. And I feel like it's when they do that nice balancing act that he's at his best. But whenever they have these moments where they're trying to give him a bit more emotional moments, I always feel like they land a little bit flat for me, because I don't see Mick Rory in that way. The other thing that also landed a little bit flat is, of course, Nick and Zari's scenes. Can't tell if they're trying to build up a romance between them now, mostly because they've been doing the whole Zari. I don't exactly know how to put it, because of course Nate and Zari were a couple before the old Zari was replaced with this new Zari. So I guess, should I call it Zari 1 and Zari 2? Is that how we should go about it? But yeah, Zari 2 and John were clearly a thing, but now they're kind of setting up that Zari 2 and Nate might be interested, possibly. I couldn't tell. I couldn't tell if these were kind of like romantic little looks, because obviously when it was the idea that Nate was looking at her and seeing his Zari, it made a bit more sense what those looks are about. But at the end of the episode, he's like, "No, it reminds me of you." That for me is a little bit, okay, this isn't... I don't see that though. I don't see Nate and Zari 2. That doesn't make any sense to me. Um, so I don't know. And maybe they're not doing anything like that. Maybe it's finally just that moment where Nate's recognizing that this Zari is still a good person, even though she's not his Zari. And so maybe it's more of a friend, like, yeah, you remind me of you. You don't remind me of your old self anymore. That could be a nice moment between friends, but the way that they were looking at each other, it definitely felt a little bit more like, is something gonna happen there? And I don't want to see a freaking love triangle between Nate, John, and Zari, because that just would not be entertaining. Love triangles most of the time are not really that entertaining. So anyways, but yeah, that's about it for this first episode. So on to the next one. I'll see you there. And now episode 5, The Satanist's Apprentice. And honestly, when I saw the title, I don't know. I was kind of like the Sorcerer's Apprentice. Okay, and Astra looks like she's gonna be learning from this guy Crowley. Okay, I get it. And then, sure enough, it turned into a Disney cartoon for a second. Oh, that was fun. That was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed just everything to do with that whole segment. And I mean, it. On the one hand, I am kind of like, why? But on the other hand, like, who cares why? Oh man, I don't know what it is about this show. I think it's mainly, again, I know I've said this before, but because it doesn't take itself seriously most of the time, I feel like I don't really question a lot of the logic in this show as much. Because like with the other shows, they typically try to be a lot more grounded in reality and try to be a lot more meaningful and really try to focus on like, oh, well, we got to explain this and we got to explain this. I don't think the show does that very often. I mean, it has some logic involved based on the rules of the world, but not really that much. I mean, again, the last episode, the Cuban Missile Crisis wasn't really resolved. It's just the missile the Cubans had the nuclear head taken out of it. So, yeah, it's a fun show. So if Crowley sees her as an innocent or helpless princess, of course he's gonna turn her into a Disney cartoon because yeah, they had a lot of helpless princesses back in the day. So that was a lot of fun. John, everything going on with him, kind of interesting. Finding out that apparently he gave her the spell knowing it would take away his magic, although Crowley seemed to imply that might have some fatal implications for him as well. So I guess we'll find out more about that as the season goes along. And who knows, maybe this fountain of whatever that Crowley was talking about, that I guess grants immortal life is what he made it sound like. Maybe John will have to use that because of whatever happened, but I don't know. The stuff with Sarah right now, we are finally getting to learn about this, power lord that is essentially, he's trying to save humanity in his own messed up way. He sees himself as a savior. I mean, he's pretty fun. His whole, basically, I don't know how to describe it, but it's like a modern day PowerPoint. Like he had this little video presentation. It very much felt like those self-help gurus is what he reminded me of. It was a fun presentation, and then also interesting to see that I don't know exactly how it works. I guess we might find out a bit more in the next episode. But seeing that he essentially has this Ava pretend to help Sarah so that she takes her to the ship, and then it's revealed that he wanted to find the ship so he could get all the information about the aliens he had on board. And then when she kills him, I'm thinking, okay, so that's probably either not the real him or something else. And then she wakes up, and I'm like, okay, so was that all a dream? But then he knows about it as well. So either it was all a dream and he's like projecting that vision into her mind, or there's some weird thing where you can't kill him because like whenever you do, essentially everything just sort of resets on the world or something like that. I don't know. I definitely have a lot of questions about that I'm assuming they'll have some answers for. My first guess is just vision, because that makes the most sense to me, that he would just make her think that she killed him. But I don't know. That seems a little too easy. It seems like he probably is going to be a little bit more powerful than just, I can project visions into your mind. So, I don't know. It's, again, a lot of fun. Doesn't always make the most sense, but hey, it is what it is. It's Legends of Tomorrow, and I'm enjoying it. So, I think that's it for this episode. I guess if we want to talk about Astra real quick, her whole plight, I do sort of get it. You know, she has been sort of just, she came up from hell and she was like, okay, start a new life, and essentially has been sidelined most of this season. And I do think John was probably a little too ignorant, but they needed him to be for this to make sense why she would turn to Crowley. So I kind of sympathize with their plot, and I'm glad that they didn't just have her kill the guy, because I feel like that would be a little too easy. Because honestly, I mean, we know the guy is a racist asshole, and I'm pretty sure they're in a time period where that was a little bit more acceptable in the public eye. So I'm sure for him, from his point of view, he's like, "What? I'm able to talk like this to people all the time. Why is it not? Why is it a problem now?" Especially, I mean, in Britain, I don't know. I think this is Britain. Pretty sure. It's somewhere in the UK. But I like the fact that it's like she really had a lot of reasons to want him dead. Like, she has obviously had that evil run in her life, and this guy was a total douchebag. But I'm glad that they didn't have her kill him, because it really does show that, like, yes, there are assholes out there, but this isn't the way to deal with them. You know, unfortunately, they do exist, but killing them is still not okay. They're still human. They just aren't the brightest, unfortunately. But anyways, yeah, that's it for this one. So on to the final of these three. I'll see you there. And finally, episode 6, Bishop's Gambit, instead of Queen's Gambit, because, yeah, the pun game is strong this season with all the title names. Very interesting stuff. Everything to do with Bishop right now. I did not see some of that coming. Yeah, Sarah apparently being a clone now. It's rather interesting. Obviously, she's still got all the memories of the real Sarah. And I don't think, you know, I mean, it's one of those things where I'm sure she sort of sees that as like a holy crap, like, I'm not in my own body anymore. But at the same time, she's also been dating and now engaged to a clone for a while now. So I don't feel like it should affect her that much, and at least in my mind. Because, I don't know. I guess in her mind, because each Ava clone is its own person, she saw her Ava become her own person. I guess now she's like, well, that makes me not even really Sarah, because I'm a different... Because I guess clones in her mind can be different, so maybe it will affect her a little bit. I don't know. It is, I mean, a nice little shocking plot twist to end the episode on. So, but yeah, Bishop, he's very interesting as a villain. Like, a lot of his mannerisms and his just lighthearted tone throughout this episode, it's kind of foreboding, because it's almost like he's not bothered by anything. And even when Sarah, you know, beats him down, like, he's still just not bothered, because he's like, oh, well, I'll just get a new body. And I'm thinking, yeah, but if she doesn't kill you, then you're stuck in its broken body. But he's not bothered by any of it, because he knows he's still got a ace up his sleeve that he hasn't had yet to show Sarah, and I'm guessing he plays it. Or I guess technically it wouldn't be cards in this case, because, yeah, Bishop, Gambit, whatever. But yeah, no, I'm definitely interested to see more about this and see where it's going to go from here. Stuff with Rory is just kind of funny, you know, finds Kayla, brings her back to the ship, and of course what we all expected to happen happens. And of course the tentacles come out because Nick Rory's into hentai. Everything back on Earth, though, also sort of interesting. I'm not really sure. I mean, I already had the suspicion that Spooner might be an alien, but when we realized in this episode that Amelia Earhart was experimented and basically had this alien put inside of her, that's when it sort of clicked in my mind that that's what happened to Spooner when she got abducted. And that's why she can. It's interesting that she can communicate with the other aliens and she can sense them. Can all of these aliens that they are? I can't remember the name of them because Kayla had called them by their name. It starts with a Z, I believe. Can all of these aliens sense other types of aliens? Or, I don't know. And I guess this isn't the right type of alien that Bishop needs to save humanity. But maybe he's tried it a few different times with this alien that lives on this planet. Yeah, I don't know. It is interesting. It was interesting to see her go full alien for a second, and of course, we did see in this episode kind of what I was thinking was going to happen if she found this out. This whole kind of almost self-inspection because she's so willing to just go and kill all these aliens, and then she finds out she might have one inside of her. Yeah, it can be a little bit of a sobering experience for somebody who's so just hungry to kill. Was it this episode or the last one? There was a really funny line with her where she was talking about, I've turned over a new leaf. I don't need to just go shoot all these aliens anymore. It's like, oh, that's good. It's good you're starting to become a nicer person, a little bit more calmed down. Yeah, I figured, we could torture it. Just, I don't know. The way that they flipped that script was brilliant. Yeah, overall, it still had some good laughs in it. Definitely a little bit more plot building and intrigue in this episode than the last two. But I don't mind that either. I feel like most of the time I have fun seeing where the plot's going to go. I don't always expect it to make a ton of sense along the way, but I don't know. I still like it. I still feel like it's a fun romp. It's one that you just sort of turn your brain off a little bit and go, let's just have some fun. Yeah, the guy wants to save humanity by infusing humans with alien DNA. Sure, let's see what he's gonna do. Let's see what he's gonna do next. Let's see how Sarah's gonna stop him. How's she gonna react to finding out she's a clone? Well, I don't know. It'll be fun though. I know it's not really a great attitude from a review point of view because most of the time for reviews we want to break it down, get nitpicky, and figure out what makes sense and what doesn't make sense in the rules of the world. But I don't know. For a show like Legends of Tomorrow, it feels like it's a difficult show to review because, again, it really doesn't take itself that seriously. So because of how the show is, I almost just feel like it's a show to have a fun time, not think too hard, enjoy yourself. So that's what I'm doing. But anyways, with all that being said, that's it for these 3 episodes. So let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below, or your thoughts on these episodes. Let me know. We can talk about and discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe, feature Legends of Tomorrow reviews, and I'll see you guys at the next one. Peace out.